chapter 18 is about viruses. And to get an idea, and the first part is about viruses, I want you to get the idea of how some size comparisons. Here's an animal cell. You can look at this picture. Here's a bacterial cell here, animal cell here, and this is a virus. Viruses are incredibly small. Viruses take on some really sweet shapes. This little guy that looks like a spaceship is one of my favorite. It's called a bacteriophage. It actually infects bacteria. We'll come back to that. Viruses have a very cool way that they work. Basic viruses basically work like this. Virus can contain RNA, DNA viruses. They basically can't reproduce on their own. They need to infect a cell. So viruses infect cells. And they do it by tricking the cell. Many viruses match a receptor protein on the cell's surface. Now remember, we talked about this before. We talked about the fact that receptor proteins on the surface of a cell are proteins that recognize and take in the cell communication thing. So many viruses dock with the cell, and the cell might have on it a receptor protein that the virus tricks, and it makes the cell take it inside. When it comes inside the cell, this is its protein coat. Its coat dissolves, and what's left is the viral DNA. Now, there are a couple ways a virus works after this. The virus can usually what the virus does is incorporates its DNA into the cell DNA. So in other words, this virus's DNA will become part of the host's DNA. And when it does that, it basically makes copies of itself. So it takes over the host DNA, and the virus makes messenger RNA. Okay, so the cell takes over the host DNA / the host cell and makes it virus factory. So the virus will start reproducing inside of the cell, and the cell will actually produce viruses, and that's it. So if you infect a throat cell with the influenza virus, it will start reproducing in there and make more and more virus until the cell explodes, and out come all new virus particles. HIV is an example of a virus. It's the virus that causes AIDS. Here is a diagram of how HIV works. HIV docks with a host cell. HIV is called a retrovirus. It has RNA, and it produces its own enzyme called reverse transcriptase. Now this is kind of cool. So DNA releases its viral RNA into the host cell. Okay, it's RNA. So it's got something like UC, UGC, AU, blah, 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 blah. The enzyme reverse transcriptase takes the cell's machinery and constructs a piece of DNA from this. So T, C, G, T. I did something wrong here. Oh, yeah. A. Sorry about that. A, C, G, T, A, and so on. So here's our piece of DNA. Now this piece of DNA breaks away, and the cell's own DNA polymerase makes a copy of the whole DNA right here. That DNA goes into the nucleus and becomes part of the cell's DNA. That's why it says chromosomal DNA. Once it's part of the cell's DNA, now when the cells, this is a new gene. They call it a provirus. It's literally in the cell, treats it like a gene. So it makes messenger RNA. Messenger RNA leaves the nucleus and goes to the ribosome. The ribosome puts together HIV virus with its own RNA, and voila, you have a virus factory. Kind of a little parasite. Okay, and so here you see on the left-hand side images of what happens. And you can see how viruses can be very, very, very destructive, and they basically destroy cells. So your question is, well, how do we get rid of a virus? Well, your immune system is designed to kill cells that have virus in them. We'll talk about